Hello, my name is Lieutenant Halterman. This is an example 1v1 intercept brief for SA-1. Today we're going to be call sign Rocket 503, tactical call sign Rage 11. I will be the instructor, you will be the student. In the other jet is going to be Rocket 504 with Lieutenant Jones as the instructor and the other student sitting next to you. Also tactical call sign Rage 12. Mission today is going to be offensive counter-air. Going to go out there and attrite enemy aircraft with a low-risk mindset. Scenario today, we have Cuban aircraft that have been capping in the Gulf of Mexico, and we're going to go out and attrite some of them. Fuel today, Joker is 2.3, Bingo is 2.0, planned fuel on deck is 3.5. Questions of the day are going to be standard and DUR and training timeout are in effect. I have no questions. Do you have any questions on admin? TAC admin. Bullseye is going to be the MPA TACAN call sign Vegas. Enemy order of battle is going to be the threat of the day per the briefing guide. Our friendly order of battle, we're going to be simulating an F-18 Foxtrot. Hostile, Bogey, Bandit, and standby declarations are standard. Setup is going to be unlimited target aspect, 30 nautical miles, 8 to 24,000 feet, and the fighter is going to be at 16,000 feet, 0.5 Mach, at or above Joker. Radar is going to be 40 nautical mile, set data block on, cursors at 30 miles, AZ3 and L-strobe in the D10s. TACAN and radar channels are going to be standard. For the loadout today, we'll have 2 Fox 3s, 2 Fox 1s, and 2 Fox 2s. Any questions on TAC admin? For the spins, today, Bogey is going to be on an unassigned heading, altitude jinx. Outside of 15 miles, the Bogey can jink to any altitude. Inside of 15 miles, the Bogey cannot cross the fighter's altitude, but the Bogey can go from the medium to the high block or the medium to the low block, but will not go from the high to the low or the low, from the high to the medium or the low to the medium block. Also, in that case, the Bandit will be set in his block by 10 nautical miles. Speed jinx can happen at any time, plus or minus 0.1 indicated Mach. And heading jinx, pre-Fox 1, can be to any heading. Post-Fox 1 will not induce a change in direction of pass. Any questions on the spins? TAC conduct. Once we are set up and have called the fights on and we're set up per TAC conduct, we will start getting broadcast control anchored to Bullseye from Gritrock. It will sound like Rage 11 Gritrock, single group Vegas, 16078, track west, medium. In that case, it meets our commit criteria. Our commit criteria today is no later than 30 nautical miles and less than or equal to 60 target aspect. Once we commit, Gritrock will transition to tactical control anchored to Bullseye or tactical control in BRA format. In that case, Gritrock will then come back and say, Rage 11 Gritrock, single group BRA, 09028, hot, medium, Rage 11. At this point, we will turn right hard as pos, slewing in the direction of the turn, and then we will begin to search for the contact once his bogey bearing is on the scope. Once he is and we're correlated with a BRA call followed by declaration, we will lock him up and select AIM 54. We will continue with our target aspect analysis, and once we know what the target aspect is, we'll jump into our game plan. Our outside of 20 nautical mile game plan, if it is 0 to 15 target aspect, we'll put the Bandit on collision, take him to lead, shoot the Fox 3, and then crank. From 20 to 60 target aspect, we'll put him 50 angle off hot with a buster, and then if he is 20 target aspect or less, and we're at or inside of 25 nautical miles, then we'll simply take him to lead, shoot the Fox 3, and then crank. Greater than or equal to 65 target aspect, we will monitor for 10 seconds. Once his heading has been stable for those 10 seconds, and we've assessed his pattern, we will drop him. If a contact meets our drop criteria, we will drop him with the comm call, Rage 11 drop single group, Gritrock monitor single group. We will then turn hard as pos back to our cap point, putting the bogey bearing at our 6 o'clock, unload and set point 6. We will continue to update and put the bogey bearing at our 6 o'clock with updated AIC information. If later the Bandit maneuvers such that he meets our commit criteria again, we will recommit on him with a standard commit call, Rage 11 commit. We will then throttle back, set point 5, and turn back hard as possible in the direction of the bogey bearing to go back after that bandit. Then for Fox 3, we will shoot that if we're hostile and we have a valid shot. If he's still not declared hostile, we'll go ahead and try to get another declaration. If we do get the Fox 3, then we'll go ahead and crank, which is a hard as pos turn, 50 angle off in the cold direction, and then we'll wait until 35 target aspect, and then we'll take the bandit to collision, lead, and then continue with the Fox 1 and the Fox 2. If, however, post Fox 3, he is between 45 and 90 target aspect, we'll take him 50 angle off hot, add a buster, and then wait until at or inside a 20 target aspect, or 12 nautical miles, whichever comes first, and then we'll take him to lead and continue for the Fox 1 and the Fox 2 as appropriate. If we do not have a Fox 3 opportunity, we do not shoot our Fox 3, then we will go into our offset game plan. Between 0 to 20 target aspect, we will then take him to collision and then wait for lead for the Fox 1 and continue for the Fox 2. If we did not get our Fox 3 and he's between 25 and 90 target aspect, we will go hard as pos to 50 angle off cold, 50 angle off hot with a buster, and then once he is at or inside a 20 target aspect or 12 nautical miles, we'll take him to lead for the Fox 1 and continue for the Fox 2 in the rear quarter, if able. Then, as we continue down the timeline, if we see that the contact maneuvers and he is greater than 95 target aspect, outside of 10 nautical miles, we will monitor him for 10 seconds once his trend is stabilized, and then drop him if he is still greater than 95 target aspect. Inside of 10 nautical miles, we will continue to run a counter turn and get a Fox 2 if able. For the maneuvering bogeys, if the bogey is within 2 nautical miles of max shot range down to min range for either the Fox 3 or the Fox 1, we will put the bandit on the nose, wait for steady target aspect, and then execute the game plan. If, however, it's outside of 2 nautical miles from the max shot range, we'll maintain the current angle off and then wait for a steady target aspect and then execute the game plan from there. At 15 nautical miles, we will continue. If we have not had radar contact yet, we will go ahead and if we've heard the bandit, if we've heard 3 consecutive calls from the higher low block from Grit Rock, we'll go ahead and climb at this time. Also, even if the bandit is on the radar scope, this is the earliest time at 15 miles that we are allowed to climb or descend. At 12 and 10 nautical miles, our timeline splits. We will do our lead turn game plan, which is going to be standard. If we have a hostile declaration, we will shoot our Sparrow. If we still do not have a hostile declaration, we'll try to get another declaration. If we assess that the bandit is fast or slow, we will adjust our displacement turn accordingly. If the bandit is fast and he is 20 target aspect or greater, we will under-displace by 10 degrees, and then we will run the counter turn 100 knots hot. If the bandit is fast but 0 to 15 target aspect, we will displace normally, and then run the counter turn 50 to 70 knots hot. If the bandit is slow, we will over-displace by 10 degrees and run the counter turn 50 knots cold. Also, if the bandit is fast, we will match his airspeed and set 0.6 ourselves, and if he is slow, we will maintain 0.5. For the displacement turn, counter turn will be standard with the exceptions that I just mentioned. We will select aim 9 at this point and begin arrow calls. At 6 miles, we will be continuing with the counter turn, and this is where we will make our merge decision. A rule of thumb is that if we have 15 target aspect at 6 nautical miles, then we have enough turning room to do a counter turn. But what is more important than that is the trend. So if the bandit has been hot-nosing us and we've seen the target aspect stagnate or decreasing, then we know that he's forcing the merge. However, even if we have perhaps less than 15 target aspect at 6 nautical miles, but we've seen that he's jinking away and that the trend has been that the target aspect is growing, then it is possible that we can run a counter turn. If we can run a counter turn, we would prefer a counter turn over the merge, but when in doubt, we will go to the merge today. If we run a counter turn at 5 nautical miles, we'll be looking for our standard radar closure gates, be continuing with our arrow calls as well as altitude analysis. Down to 2 miles, looking for 300 knots radar closure on the nose, 90 degrees to go, and then between 1.5 and 0.5 miles, we will pass the dot with a hostile declaration for the aim 9. If we do not have a hostile declaration, we will make a VID at this time. Less than 0.5 nautical miles, we'll experience break-X and execute that as standard. If, however, we end up going to the merge rules, the bogey shall set 10 angle off no later than 3 nautical miles. The fighter shall set 10 angle off no later than 1 nautical mile. The fighter student shall set the direction of pass with a tally or no joy over, for example, fighter tally right to right, bogey tally right to right. If no joy, the fighter student shall make that communication over UHF-1 as well. Fighter no joy, and then the bogey will set the direction of pass from there. A pilot tally is required to begin post-merge maneuvers, and then a pilot or student tally is required to continue post-merge maneuvers. If one of the aircraft loses sight, it will communicate no joy over the radio, and then if the other aircraft calls continue, it will own deconfliction responsibilities from there. The fighter is limited to 180 degrees of turn. The bogey is limited to a level hard turn or less, 90 degrees away from the fighter. Once we're approaching the merge, if we have a 4-quarter Fox 2 opportunity, we'll turn hard as pos to bring the Bandit to the nose, go nose high or low for the dot with a hostile declaration between 5 and 1.5 nautical miles in the forward quarter. We'll pass the dot for 4-quarter Fox 2. If we do not have a hostile declaration, we will proceed with a VID in the forward quarter if necessary. We'll continue making arrow calls until we get a tally. It is imperative pre-merge that we get a tally for both crew members. At this point, we will also assess whether or not we have an angular advantage or disadvantage. Assuming that you are the fighter and this is the Bandit, if you see that target aspect equals angle off, then you have a neutral situation at the pass. If you see that target aspect is greater than angle off, then you have an angular advantage at the merge. If, however, you see that target aspect is less than angle off, then you are at an angular disadvantage coming to the merge. For post-merge maneuvers, we will continue post-merge unless for safety of flight. So as long as we have tally, we have enough gas, and that we're not out of missiles, we will continue post-merge maneuvers. If that is the case, then we will continue hard as pos. Whoever had sight during the turn will maintain sight, and then only once the pilot has regained tally will you go heads into the cockpit to work the radar from there. Once you are in his rear quarter and have a valid Fox 2 solution, you'll pass the dots. If you need a VID, then you'll proceed with VID procedures. If you have to bug out, you will do a 30-degree check turn, hard as pos across the Bandit's tail, and then you will update his bearing at your 6 o'clock, unload, and set point 6 through the bug out. Any questions on TAC conduct? Contingencies. For contingencies, if he's a no-show or a late show, we will execute the timeline per TAC conduct in 1v1s. For a no-show, you will put the contact on the nose, assess drift, and then put him 30 degrees angle off on the hot side of the scope. For jamming co-channel interference, you'll go to your backup radar channel. Con jamming is anytime you note that somebody is intentionally trying to prevent you from communicating on your primary working freak. If you establish that you are being prevented from communicating on your primary working freak, you will use the call sign Cheddarmark, Cheddarmark, Cheddarmark to tell everybody to go to the pre-briefed backup comm plan. Lost contact and troubleshooting are going to be standard. Any questions on contingencies? Any questions overall? Okay, to wrap up, again, we're going to be TAC call sign Rage 11 doing an SA1 today, and we're going to walk in 6 minutes.